Let's talk to the guy that was on the call yesterday, Merrill Reese, as he calls another Eagles NFC Championship. Merrill, how you doing today?
Merrill.
I could not be doing better. What an exhilarating day, and what a performance by this football team. I thought it would be a very, very close game, and I am delighted to be wrong and talk about a 32-point rout.
Well, Merrill, none of us saw that coming. I mean, look, some people last week were very confident they were going to win, and I thought they'd win, Merrill. And I even could have seen a scenario where maybe they won by 14 or 17 points. But Merrill, I didn't see that coming. And it was close early. You know, they get the first drive. They have a long drive, fourth downs. They get the field goal. But, Merrill, right away, the Eagles were able to flip that momentum. Saquon Barkley, the first offensive play of the game. What a great run. And we're just used to this now. 60 yards, no big deal for this guy.
But can you imagine how disheartening it is for a team like Washington to go on a long drive and then they come away with 3 points instead of 7, and then the Eagles get on the field and hand the ball off to Saquon Barkley, and within the blink of an eye, they're down 7-3. I mean, one touch and a 60-yard touchdown. He is beyond amazing.
He really is. He was great yesterday. And then yesterday, when you kind of add it all together, Merrill, they didn't just win because of their great running game, which was great. They ran for over 200 again. But they also had the element that has been there at times this year, at times it's not been as great, which was the passing game. I thought yesterday, Merrill, was Jalen's best game of the whole season. He was on point. He was accurate. And when they needed some big throws to score points, I mean, he delivered. Especially that 4th and 5 down the sideline to A.J. What a great throw by Jalen.
Well, I think we've come to realize that the bigger the game, the bigger Jalen Hurts comes up. I mean, look at how he performed 2 years ago in the Super Bowl. He really outplayed Patrick Mahomes in that game, and they ended up losing at the end, of course. But he had a marvelous Super Bowl. The sky is the limit for Jalen Hurts. He is a great quarterback, and I don't like to overuse the word great, but he really is. I think a lot of people have underestimated his ability as a passer. But when you look at that deep throw on the 4th and 1, where I thought they should punt the ball and play it safe, and then he goes deep with not a high percentage pass and puts it into the arms of A.J. Brown, into the hands. He could have closed his eyes and stretched out his hands, and the ball would have come down in the center of his palms. I mean, that was such a great pass.
It really was. Merrill Reese with us here as the Eagles punched their ticket to the Super Bowl. And then, Merrill, as they have so many times this year, the defense played really well, and specifically turnovers. Merrill, I am just amazed with their ability to cause so many turnovers. Early in the season, it wasn't like that. Since the bye, it's been incredible. And I think they're now plus 10 in the postseason. You say it every week on pregame. It's the key, but it doesn't just work for them. It's like their calling card. They force so many turnovers.
Well, I think a lot of us went into this game, and I know I did and Mike did, saying that the team that won the turnover battle would win the game. And that changed everything. I mean, they had 4 turnovers. The 4th one, all right, was after the game was a fait accompli. But the 3 of them, the Eagles didn't just turn them into field goals. They turned all 3 of those turnovers into touchdowns. And that's what really entered as the knockout punch for Washington, turnover after turnover after turnover.
Well, it was, and it felt like they got them at the right times too. Remember, I thought the sequence that really flipped the game was before halftime. They go for the 4th and 5. Jalen delivers to AJ. We talked about that. They score there, and then the next kickoff, they get the turnover. It felt like every time Washington had a little momentum, Merrill, that's when the turnover hit, and it was kind of good night for them.
It was. I mean, that we talk about it all the time. Turnovers kill, and they really did kill Washington yesterday. Although I think that the Eagles from top to bottom are a better team. And, you know, as great as Jaden Daniels has played this season, he is a great young quarterback and will be for a long time. Late in the game, you could actually see that he was rattled. He started throwing balls into the ground and over the head of receivers. They finally got to him, and that is something that hasn't happened to him very often this season.
Well, it doesn't. It hasn't, but the Eagles got him yesterday, and they're on to the Super Bowl, Merrill, for the second time in 3 seasons. Merrill, try to put in perspective what this franchise has become. I mean, you've seen so much, but the last 25 years or so, 8 championship game appearances and now 4 appearances in the Super Bowl. I thought it was great after the game when Jeff Lurie was on the podium with Fox and Terry Bradshaw said something to the effect of, "Is this unexpected?" And Jeff Lurie said, "No, it's expected. This is what they do now, Merrill. They play for championships very often around here."
Well, they've done all the right things. The Eagles have made all the right moves on and off the field. They've put together a fabulous organization from top to bottom. And Jeffrey took some heat a number of years ago in his training camp, State of the Eagles. He mentioned the words gold standard, that they were aiming to become the gold standard. And at times early, those words came back to kind of haunt him. But sure enough, this team really is right there close to the gold standard. And they are among the elite teams in football, and they are just fun to watch. I am looking at this roster, and it's not just the starters. It's the depth that this team has. I mean, you saw what they had to do, shuffle around the offensive line and bring in Tyler Steen, and he held up well. And then at times they've moved into the secondary with an Isaiah Rodgers coming up. And then the backup of the number 2 running back is Kenny Gainwell, and he went out with a concussion. And then came Will Shipley, and he exploded. So this team has depth at every single position.
Well, they have. And now, Merrill, on to the Super Bowl, where the opponent is a very familiar one. It's the Chiefs. It is Andy Reid. It's Patrick Mahomes. Merrill, what do you make of this iteration of the Chiefs? You know, they're not quite as maybe dominant offensively as they were in years past, but the defense is very good, and they seem to win every close game. They've only lost once this year. You know, when they play their starters, they lost that final game. But they're an incredible opponent in the midst of a dynasty here, and now we get a chance to play them again.
I'm glad we're playing them again. I really am, because I remember when the Eagles played New England again, who they had lost to previously in the Super Bowl, and we all remember about Super Bowl 52. And maybe history will repeat. The Eagles who lost to the Chiefs a couple of years ago and really stayed with them neck and neck and had the lead in that game. Maybe this time they can finish that job.
I love that. I'm with you, too. This is the opponent I wanted, the matchup opponent. This is going to be a fun 2 weeks, Merrill. Enjoy this, and we'll see you down in New Orleans. And like I said yesterday, we got one more pregame in us, so can't wait to do that and talk coming up in a couple weekends before Super Bowl 59. Thank you, Merrill.
Thank you. I'll tell you something. I cannot wait, and I could not be more happy for Eagles fans. These are the best fans in the country. They are passionate. They deserve all of the success. Let them rejoice, because they deserve it.
No doubt. Merrill, thank you. Enjoy your week, and enjoy the trip down to New Orleans. Thanks, Merrill.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Right, there he goes. Merrill Reese there, who gets to be on the call for another Super Bowl. See, Merrill gets it. He wanted the Chiefs, Kyle. You
want that revenge game.
So when the game kicked off, and I think we're all thinking about it as soon as the Eagles won, like, oh, now who do you want? And we'll talk more about the Chiefs coming up in a little bit in this first thoughts on the matchup. But as soon as the Eagles won, it really cemented, I wanted Kansas.
Yeah, and I mean, look, Buffalo would have been a tough test, but the Chiefs are the test.
They're the standard, yeah.
You have to beat the best to be the best, and now the Eagles get a chance to kind of do this poetically and get in the middle of yet another three-peat. They did this with the Patriots, and they got in between them, winning 3 Super Bowls in a row, and they could do this again with the Chiefs. Like, the Eagles can cement themselves as, like, the dynasty stoppers. And really, I mean, honestly, you do this, you win, you got the Patriots, you got the Chiefs, and you have the Eagles for the last quarter century.
There's no. I don't even know who else is on the same or close to that tier. I mean, I think there's a gap after those 3. Whoever the next franchise is that you even put on that. And think about it, like from Howie's perspective, to slay 2 goats, 2 potential goat. I mean, Brady is the goat, and Mahomes is pushed to become that. That's big stuff.